Book 101 review. Book 101 is all about the books that are read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He's the author of the book Teach or Lead Abroad, no other than Mr. Kelley Ridings.
Hello there, Daniel.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Kelley, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Well, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite. I'm living in China, but I'm actually from the United States. But I've been living abroad for almost 2 decades now, and I've been here in China since 2012. I've been working in international schools, which is why I've been able to live and work abroad. And I've been able to live in 4 different countries in my life, and so I really enjoy that. And now that I'm retired, I still live abroad by living here in China, and I have my own business here as well, which I do some consulting. And so it's been a good life. So I've enjoyed my time in the U.S., but I also enjoy my life abroad as well.
Indeed, expert, Mr. Kelly Writing. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Your book promises a streamlined system. What is the one methodology in Lead Abroad that most differentiate it from generic job hunting or advice for teachers?
Well, I think that what I advocate is when thinking about getting a job working abroad, it's a similar to working in schools at home domestically, but there also are important differences in if somebody is going to be successful in finding work teaching abroad or leading abroad in a school, then they've got to think in the terms of what an international school system does. So the hiring system, the timelines are very different, the processes are very different because it's working with countries all around the globe. Sometimes the hiring rules are different in different countries, and so flexibility is going to be a lot more important than it is in a domestic hiring situation when you kind of already know the culture of where you are domestically. But we may not always know that culture when we're working internationally, and so we have to think about a lot of different things, which is what I focus on in my book.
Mr. Kelly, the title emphasizes easily find. What specific pain points in national or international school job search does your system simplify or eliminate that typically overwhelm candidates?
Well, I think that there are several different pain points. I think that people sometimes don't know. First off, they may not even be really aware of what kind of jobs are out there and what kind of schools are there. And so, learning where to find those different kinds of jobs and different locations through job agencies and online resources is really a very valuable tool. I've collected a lot of those and have those available through my business website, edgenetpro.com, and I uh, really advocate that people take a look and figure out where they want to go and then what kinds of locations they're interested in, and then try to focus in on finding uh, job agencies that fit with those locations. Another pain point is that sometimes people don't know how to go about accessing to find out where the jobs are, and they're not sure how to go about doing it. Every school has a different kind of system, and every country has a different system sometimes. And so, what are the things that they need in order to be able to get those positions and get interviews for those roles?
Mr. Kelly, what's the most common misconception about landing a dream job in international schools that your book directly debunks?
Well, I think one misperception sometimes is that people think that everything is done just like it is back home, and it's not. And so people have to really develop a sense of being flexible and to understand that every country has its own system and its own needs. And of course, every school is individual as well. And so that flexibility is really, really important. I think another thing that is a common misperception is that people have to really think about what they're going to expect and what they want from working and living abroad. Working and living abroad is not the same thing as traveling abroad. And sometimes people misunderstand that and they think that they like going to vacation and so they think, well, this will be easy, but it's not. And it's moving a whole life abroad. And so that is quite different than just taking a couple weeks on a vacation. And so people have to develop a different mindset about what that experience is going to be like, and then finding the places that match with what they want, if that's the plan for them. And they really think, okay, I really want to work and live abroad. Great. Now let's find a place that matches with what they want. And so it takes time. It takes work, and it's I always talk about, prioritize finding the right school, not just finding a job.
How does your book specifically help candidates navigate the unique international school recruitment calendar to their advantage?
Well, I go through several different parts of the process. So, one of the things that I start with is just helping people to figure out how to prepare for their job searches. Searches in international school systems begin at the height, or will peak starting in October, and they'll go through around February. And so, helping to get candidates ready for that is something that's really important. So, for those job seekers, they've got to first prepare all the kinds of documents, everything that they need in order to be ready for the search. Then I help them to prepare for the search, preparing their resumes, helping them to learn about what it is that they need to put in there, what they need to put in their cover letters, preparing for the interviews, how to go about doing that successfully, since those interviews are mostly going to be online. They're not going to be in person. So it's a little bit different. It might be a different kind of scenario that job seekers haven't experienced before. And then after they've uh, had their interviews, and if they're getting offers, how do they go about determining if they want that job or not? And so I help people kind of walk through the process of what they need to think about in order to make a decision about whether to take a job or not. And then finally, it's about how do I prepare to get over there once I've accepted a position, and how to help them to think about planning that move so that they can be successful, not only for themselves, but if they're taking their families with them, then helping everybody to be successful in the family.
Mr. Kelly, which recruitment platform do you advise candidates to prioritize and why?
Well, Danielle, I think it really depends on the time of the hiring season, which platforms to look at. I advocate first that people look at the major platforms that offer a wide variety of jobs in many different countries. So places like ISS or Search Associates, those would be good examples. Scroll is another one. Teachaway is another one. They offer a lot of different positions, many different places. Then, as the hiring season moves forward, then I advocate that the job seeker look for um, job agencies that are maybe more regionalized, especially if they know that they want to work in a particular place. Maybe they're interested in the Middle East, or they're interested in Asia, and so trying to specialize a little bit in targeting those kinds of agencies is a good step. And then finally, toward a later part in the process, once they've fully established their profiles on those sites, then it's okay to look for specific agents that might target a specific country. And so, there's lots of different agents that have special relationships with different schools, and they know things that may not be on those big box kind of websites that are available. And so there really depends on the time of year when these people should, when job seekers need to access those different sites. It takes time to put all those profiles together. So I just suggest start small, start with the first one, then maybe expand to a second one, and then so on down the line. And then they're going to be able to have a pretty successful um, hiring recruitment time, I think, because they're going to be accessing a lot of different roles. And I also forgot to mention, obviously, if they know of specific schools that they want to go to, then they should look those schools up online, because most of them are going to have ways to apply for their jobs directly through their websites. And then that way they can access all the different roles that they're interested in.
Very well said, Mr. Kelly. Very well said. What's your number one tip for transforming a generic cover letter CV into one that grabs an international school recruiter's attention within seconds?
Well, for me, I think that the main thing is using data and facts that are specific to how you have contributed to schools in the past and what you're going to bring to the school that they need. So rather than just give generic, bland statements, talk about the actual impact that they've had on the schools where they've worked and what they're going to bring the school that they're going to. I think that's a great way to do it. And maybe, hit 4 or 5 key facts that are really kind of powerful. That's going to speak a lot to the recruiters.
International school interviews often involves panels, demo lessons, and spouse questions. What is your most counterintuitive piece for interview prep advice from the book?
Well, I would say take when interviewing with a group of people, whether it's panels or group interviewing with different people and different times, but all from within the same school, that's a great chance for the job seeker to get a real sense of what this school is about and what the people are like that are there. And so you get a chance to hear what they're talking about and what they think are valuable things to know and to consider in the interview is, I think, really important. I also advocate that when people are looking for jobs, that they should try to practice before they get into the actual interview. Because sometimes, just like you said, sometimes they will get in and they've got a whole panel of people, and there might be 5, 6, 7 people that are there. And if they're not experienced with that and they're just thinking, oh, it's going to be one on one, it can be a little bit uh, intimidating. It can throw them off. So they want to make a connection with each person on that panel. I think that's something that's really important in interviewing. They don't want to just talk and focus on one person, but if they want to try to hit things that are important for each of the people that are there, each of those panelists have a specific job function. They're there for a particular reason. And so candidates need to think about what those reasons are and how can they connect to them.
How does your book specifically help talented teachers overcome the required international experience barrier many top schools initially demand?
Well, I think that sometimes people have a misconception that they think they go abroad and they may have a college degree, but they might not have a teaching degree. They may not have a teaching license. And they think it's just kind of a casual tutoring situation. But actually, many places are genuine schools that are professional operations and they want professional teachers. And so people need to think about how can they best prepare themselves to get the kinds of jobs abroad, just like they might want to find if they were back home. And so preparing their career for getting the different kinds of things that they need, whether it's a teaching degree, a teaching license, the experience that they need to have professionally to get those kind of top jobs, is really important to be able to do. And so I really emphasize that they help themselves. It takes time to get those licenses and certifying themselves and all, but it's worth it because that's going to be something they're going to carry throughout the rest of their career.
Yes, totally worth it. Mr. Kelly, as empowering educators globally and as an author, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, one of I'm glad that you've mentioned the educators, empowering educators globally, because that's my motto, and that's really what I'm here to do. I work with people all around the globe from many continents, not just coming from the United States and not just in China. And so I really value helping people, and it's something that I think a lot of people, they have a heart to be in schools and they have a heart to work with kids, and but they're not quite sure how to go about getting into this international school system and what they can do to better their career so that they can better help kids. And so that's something that I'm really passionate about. I also want to help schools to grow and to be better. I'm really heavily into the growth mindset. And I think that that's an important thing. And it doesn't really matter whether somebody is brand new into their career and they're still just fresh out of college, or whether they've been in it for many, many decades like I have. We can all grow, and we all need the growth mindset in order to help us to do that. And so I help people to be able to do that through my books, through my self-paced online courses that I offer, and as well as through the mentoring groups that I support as well.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Kelly, and looking forward for more success. What would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be an educators globally like you and as an author like you?
Well, I think that the thing is to stay with your goal and to keep at it. Don't give up. And it takes time. So finding jobs globally is something that is sometimes it doesn't move really fast, the pace. And so people have to be patient with it and they have to keep at it. And I really advocate that people, if they want to be successful, they can find jobs. And actually, it's not hard to find a job in a school, but they want to find a job in the right school that matches who they are and what is important to them and their attitudes, their beliefs. And so finding that is something that takes time, and they've got to do some research to figure out if this place is the right one for them. But once they found it, they're going to be really happy and satisfied. If they didn't put that effort into doing the search in that way and they just take a job because it seems attractive, or maybe they've got a good pay or something about it's appealing, but they didn't really research the place, they may end up finding a place that is not really a good match for them and they might not be very happy, and it's going to be an unsuccessful experience. We want to be happy. And so it's worth it to put that research into it so that we will get what we deserve to have when we're getting that job.
Yes, people, let's be happy and be merry. And how do you help readers refine what a dream job actually means for them in the complex landscape of international schools?
That's such everybody has their own interests and the things that really speak to them. And so it's really important, Daniel, when thinking about these kind of jobs, is that people have to think about what matters to them personally. And if they're going with their family, also, if their accompanying family is coming along, then they need to think about what those family members want as well. And so being really aware of ourselves and what matters to us is really important. So sometimes people want to be in a specific kind of location, or maybe they have certain kind of climate or temperatures that they really like, or they do they want to live in the city, do they want to live in a more rural or suburban area, are they wanting to live in the mountains or by a beach or things like that. That matters. That they live an active lifestyle. They've got to consider, is there physical activities that they can do? If they're living in a big city, maybe that's not, hiking and things isn't going to really be possible. And so they've got to think about that. And sometimes I find that candidates haven't thought about those things very much. They just get excited about the idea of going abroad and living abroad, but they haven't thought about that they're forming an actual life there. And then they end up being kind of unhappy because, well, place doesn't have parks and mountains, but you're living in the middle of a big city. That's not going to have those kind of things. And the same thing if they're living out in a more rural area and they say, well, it doesn't have big city life. Well, yeah, it doesn't have that because that's not what the location has. So that's something that's really important. They also have to think about family back home and the people they're leaving behind. If they've got close connections to those people, it's going to be hard to live abroad. And so they've got to think about, if they want to be abroad, but they maybe don't want to be too far away, then living in a country that's close to them, but not too far away from their home, may be something that they need to think about. So there are lots of different things that people have to consider when they are making those plans. And if they consider them well, they're going to be successful.
Mr. Kelly again, very well said, and thank you for that empowering answer. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, Food 101, and it's fourth season. Now, fifth season, people, Food 101 with Chef Alessandro, one of the specialty chef in one of the five-star hotel in downtown Toronto. Please do listen to our latest episode. We are reading our letter senders all over the world. So please do listen. Food 101, wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. Kelly, what personal experience or industry insight fueled your passion to write this guide and convince you a system was needed?
Well, Daniel, this is a question that I get asked a lot. Is people have an interest in the fact that I've lived abroad, and not only lived abroad in just one place, but in many places. And they've often asked about, how do I do that? Or they know people who want to go abroad, and then so they'll say, well, can you help? My friend, my cousin, my nephew, whoever. And so I thought, well, there's a good chance then to write this book because people do have an interest in it. And I've been really very surprised at how many people have lived abroad in their lives, and so they can really benefit from this experience, not just working in schools, but people have all kinds of careers that they have and live abroad and doing them. And so I'm glad to be able to offer my insight from it because I've been doing it a long time. I've lived abroad now for off and on for almost 20 years, and so it's been a great time for me. I've been able to reach my dreams, and now I look forward to being able to help others to reach theirs through this book.
Mr. Kelly Ridings, thank you so much again for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support all your books as well as your advocacy to the world?
Well, I'm glad to be here, and I thank you for this chance. Please take a look at my website at edunetpro.com, edunetpro.com. I have my books there as well as my self paced online courses on hiring. And I also have mentor groups that I work with as well. And so you can find my books on Amazon, and you can also contact me through edunetpro.com, and I can get you in touch with books there if you don't have access to Amazon.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Kelley Ridings because if you support him, more and more and more empowering books to come, more and more and more empowering advocacy to come. Mr. Kelley, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for being here and for hosting this great podcast. Thank you.
More to come, people. See you soon.
Bye.